Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. In the car, and I thought, you know what? It's time to say hello to my friends and open this show. Why not, right? So, do you guys remember the Crosley CT200 cassette deck that we reviewed some time ago? Well, I started having issues with it, and I had to get an RMA, a replacement on it, because there was something wrong with the motor. So I got a new one, and I thought we would take another look at it. And I just love the styling and the design of the unit. So hopefully this one will work out a little better. It's typical, you know what I mean, to have an item go bad from time to time. So let's take a look at this replacement unit and see how it works. This is Record-ology. So I love this thing. It is fantastic styling. It is very portable. It's just so nostalgic for me because this is the type of tech that I inherited as some of my very first audio equipment as a kid, you know, growing up in the 80s and 90s was stuff that looked like this, that late 70s, early 80s design aesthetic. This is the Crosley CT200B, and I think they're actually discontinuing this model, unfortunately, but we reviewed this some time ago along with the CT100, which is a completely different design. Very cool as well. I ended up gifting that one to a friend of mine, but this one I love. And so when I started having issues with the deck itself, it was like squealing, and I just decided to replace it with a new one. So I am excited to have a fresh one of these to look at. And like I said, with it, you know, becoming soon to be obsolete with them rolling it off, you know, you may not be able to get these for too much longer. I'll put a link down below, assuming this, you know, goes well. And if there are any available, you know, there may be a few that you can snag. I personally think it's fantastic. The reason why it's already out of the box, this box just sort of disintegrated on me. I don't know why. It just came apart. This was in a larger shipping box, and then which was fine, and it was packed safely. And this was all tight, but as soon as I started to pull it out of the other box, this just sort of came undone. So it is what it is. That's how it is. And then you also get the manual as well. Let's look for a minute at this manual. Let's see here. So there are the specifications. It's a 5-watt, 6 ohm, can run on 6 D-cell batteries or the included AC power cord, which is, you know, the way that I choose to operate it. But yeah, this is just like those units of the 80s. I mean, it's just amazing. Even the silver color is just, you know, fantastic. So I'm very excited to have this once again. And now for the unboxing portion of the show. If you blink, you might miss it. Okay, done. It's literally, it just comes in this bag. All right, let's take a detailed look around. Let's start on the top. So the cassette deck has all of the typical transport controls that you would expect. This has semi-auto stop. And I remember when I first reviewed this, I thought that was funny. I'm like, I've never heard that terminology before. And apparently that means that when you're playing a tape and it comes to the end, it auto stops. But if you're fast forwarding or rewinding the tape, it does not. 2-band, it says down here, 2-band cassette recorder. So the AM, FM would be the 2 bands. This looks sharp. I just love this silver plastic look. You can see the speaker right there. It's obviously mono. And yes, that is a mono deck. I do remember that. Nice big window on the front here with a contrasting panel in the middle so you can see how much tape you've got left. And then we've got a built-in microphone here, so we'll do a test on that as well. There is the radio dial, and I'm probably trying to avoid the reflection of the ring light. Probably, it's got nice drag on it. It's got nice drag. Probably a digital tuner. I don't recall off the top of my head. And we do have a battery indicator and VU meter. If I remember right, this is kind of weak in terms of the VU meter capabilities. I was slightly unimpressed with that. Looking up top here, we've got a volume control. These are plastic knobs, sort of a silver finish. Bass control, treble control. Our function switch, radio or tape off, and then Bluetooth. It does receive Bluetooth. So this is a Bluetooth speaker. And one of the questions, an AM FM band, one of the questions that comes up every time we review something like this is, can you record off the radio? And the answer to that is, stay tuned. We'll test that again. Just want to give you something to stay tuned for, right? Again, from a design styling aesthetic, I love this recessed area on this tuning dial. Very, very cool. We've got the handle. We've got the antenna, telescoping antenna or aerial for my UK friends. Down here, we've got a headphone jack. The reason why that doesn't say headphones is because it's mono. It'll be audio in both left and right sides, but it'll be a mono signal. And the power receptacle there for the AC power. There's a vent. We've got the warning stickers and stuff on the back. And then back here is the battery compartment. And we open that up, and that's where you would load in your 6D cell batteries. This thing has good heft to it, even without the batteries. It definitely does not feel cheap and flimsy. We've got the foam on there to give it some cushioning. We're going to be running it off of AC. They also give you an AC cable, which for some reason I don't have here right now, so I'll go get that. Continue our tour around the unit. That's pretty much it. There's these little raised plastic areas on the bottom that act as a foot. But that's pretty much the device. It feels good. It feels quality. It feels just like those units I remember as a kid. It doesn't feel gimmicky. It's not like one of those things where as soon as you hold it, you're like, oh man, I could tell this is cheap. It does not feel that way whatsoever. So let's test it out. So let's start with the radio, I guess. I'm going to flip it up to radio, AM. You can hear by that clipping sound, it's definitely a digital tuner. It's very loud. The volume is on, like, I mean, look how low this is to get that low. Comfortable volume level is like, maybe 20% on there.
Hebrew families.
And this is FM. I thought it was on AM.
Jason Smith here with a very important message. Ask any first responder. Too many drivers are killed crossing rail tracks trying to beat the train, even though...
That's with the EQ flat, so it's noticeably tinnier without the...
You were made to...
It still sounds pretty rich and full, though. Definitely, I mean, on this type of a speaker it's set up, I'm going to put the bass to like 70% and then the treble probably at 80%. That's my personal taste. And then let's check out AM. That was also with the aerial not even extended. I mean, that was folded up. Here's AM.
Beautiful, easy to use, energy efficient.
You'll notice the needle there bouncing up and down. So it sounds like we've got the VU meter when it's not being used as a battery indicator.
Now 35%.
But see how low it is? Even when the volume is down.
Free, 35% off sunrooms and side.
It definitely correlates to the volume position. And you'd have to have that thing cranked to get it, going all the way up.
Be an expert today.
Yeah, the radio sounds good. I mean, it sounds fine. I'm sure Bluetooth, sound quality-wise, is going to be the same. Again, I don't want to do a full review on this because we've done that. So I'm not going to test out the Bluetooth. Let's test out the record capabilities. I'm going to be using just a cheap, modern cassette tape. This actually came with a Walmart shoebox player. Let's check out the rewind speed. Now the shutter speed of the camera is making it look like those hubs are rotating a lot slower than they really are. And in actuality, it's a blur to the naked eye. Pretty average. I like the big window so you can see clearly where your tape's at. I don't like it when decks have, such a small window. Even my good Yamaha deck has this tiny window and the tape is so far back it's next to impossible to see it. I like this. Okay, now listen to it squeal. It's squealing because it doesn't have full auto stop. So it'll tug on your tape. That'll drive me nuts. But if it's just playing at playback speed, it'll be fine. It'll shut itself off. But I was going to say, there's a vintage, I think it's an Iowa deck from the early 80s. where the clear part is pretty much the whole tape, which is awesome. I love that. So, all right, let's go ahead, and I'm just going to do a little microphone test. I'm just going to play record here on my tape, and as the tape gets pulled across the record head, I'm going to make a little test recording here. So this is a test of the Crosley CT200 portable cassette deck. If it looks oddly familiar, it definitely takes some design cues from some equipment of the 70s and 80s. And I think these are really cool units. By the way, if you happen to be watching at this moment, you might be interested to know that we're going to be doing a giveaway in the coming days. So I would say don't miss any of our videos over the next week or so, because we are going to be doing a giveaway of a very nice item that we recently reviewed. Okay, so I'm going to rewind that. It's going to be like dictation quality. You know what I mean? It's not going to sound like high fidelity. Okay, so I made a mistake and I had it on radio mode. So I have to, did I? Yeah, I had it on radio mode. So I'm flipping it to tape mode, and let's try that again. This time I won't make as lengthy one. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm about a foot away from the microphone. Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Using the built-in microphone on the Crosley CT200. All right, should be able to hear it clearly, and that's about it. It's not going to be like super high fidelity. There it goes. Made it. This time I won't make it as lengthy. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm about a foot away from the microphone. Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Using the built-in microphone. Sounds good to me. Sounds fine. Okay, let's test some pre-recorded tapes. I've got some very random things that hopefully won't give us any content ID matches. It does have some bass. There is bass to be found. It's not like tinny, you know, remember White Westinghouse? Remember that brand? Like it was like a Kmart brand or something. One of those brands where you get it home and you're like, oh, man, it's totally, underwhelming once you get it out of the box or the package. This isn't like that because the sound quality is good. Now, there's not going to be any Dolby on the decks, nothing like that, or on the cassette deck. I mean, Dolby doesn't license their noise reduction technology anymore, but it's actually not a terrible thing. So if you have a cassette that is pre-recorded with Dolby, as is this one, you'll see a little Dolby symbol underneath the A. And if it just says Dolby or has a Dolby symbol and doesn't say if it's B or C, that means it's B. So this is a Dolby B recorded tape, which means in extremely simplified terms that the audio has been shifted to higher frequency preference. So the highs have been bumped, and as such, it will have a brighter, tinnier sound without the Dolby B decoding. However, on a cheaper Tanishan type of mechanism, and by the way, Tanishan does not make decks anymore. They don't make components, so this is a third party. It is going to be that Tanishan type. You can see the blue constant always on magnet there. That's one reason why you could tell, or one way you could tell. Also the angled spring down there. Telltale sign that's that same mechanism that's going in, or a version of it, in so many units today. Anyhow, when you have a tape that's Dolby encoded and the bias and everything is set for those high frequencies, with the ultimate plan being that they would be, mitigated on playback with Dolby decoding, you get a brighter sounding tape. However, when you're dealing with a cheaper quality tape mechanism, in modern units, they all have them, that's going to have a muddier sounding head. So it actually works in a weird way to kind of give you not a Dolby effect, but a surprisingly decent sound quality. So let's go ahead and play this one back. It's not too shabby at all. Yes, I hit fast forward without hitting stop first, but bad habits, right? And obviously you can adjust the bass and treble. All right, let's try some bluegrass here. It's very 80s, ugly. Why did they use this color? This is such a heinous color. This is 1979, I guess. man, if you ever went to church and they made duplicates of tapes of sermons, they were always on an ugly cassette shell like that, or even other ugly variants. I'm actually planning a show using some of those. I picked some of those up recently, inherited them is more like it, and they're just ugly tape. You know, I like think all tape should be clear or have something interesting. Even white is better, but this terrible like tan and off-white color, just not my favorite. All right.
And bigger than a sweet potato down in Tennessee. Hi, Lenny, ho, Lenny, listen up to me.
I'm really impressed with how much punch it has. It easily fills the room. Sound quality is very listenable. Here is a spoken word. This is old time radio. Just want to play a couple different genres on here.
Well, no, Eddie, you see, there's one slight hitch.
What?
I ain't met the dame yet.
Well, maybe after you've been married a couple of years, you get somebody to introduce you.
You can record off the radio as well. So this is a very decent, good quality, portable cassette tape. I wouldn't call it a boombox. Portable cassette tape recorder, radio, Bluetooth device. And I think these are fantastic. I really, really do. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Do you still use devices like this? For me, this is something that I always use the example of, doing the dishes. Something I would bring into the kitchen while I'm doing dishes. Something I would bring out to the garage while I'm, sweeping out the garage. Or something like that. I'm working in the backyard maybe, something like that. So a fun device, a very cool design aesthetic. And I just want to encourage you guys, don't be led down the path of all Crosley sucks. All Crosley sucks. It does not. There are some fantastic products. Remember, they are a marketing entity, a lifestyle brand, but this product comes from a third-party provider. This is made by somebody else that makes equipment for other brands, and so don't believe all the hype that everything Crosley is bad, because that's just not the case. All right, my friends, that is going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed this show. Happy record hunting, and we'll see you next time.